script writing is identify the considerations and principles of podcast script writing, appreciate the importance of podcast script writing by applying its different principles, and write a podcast script using the learning activity sheet or any learning resource material. So, we're going to read our script from a learner's material. Ano? Mas matawag kung nagamitin na natin ay sa learner's packet na. Kaya ito na dito, pwede na natin siya ibutang sa... Di na kita actually kapag gano'n maghimo sa script. Kaya na, no? Kukupiyahon to lang ditoan at dito na, no? Kaya lang, ato lang siya siyempre, ato lang siya ihiwa ng script para doon din siya natin pag version or copy of a play, movie, or any related activity that is delivered. So a script is any related activity that is of course delivered. Any activity that is delivered. So we use a script, when we stage a play. We also use a script when we shoot a movie. We cannot actually, kasi mga sa ato sa diribaga, when we craft a lesson plan, we visualize kung ano ang gusto natin mangyari sa lesson room. Although we're not writing a script, but a lesson plan is already a script. Pero before we write a script, we first visualize what we want to see in the actual scenario or actual setting. In other words, we have to have what? We have to, of course, use our 5 senses. We have to visualize, we have to picture out. In other words, we have to create a mental image of what we want to happen during the teaching process. So script comes from the Latin scribere, meaning to write. And all its meaning have to do with something written. So script is of course something written. That is why you're going to write a script. Then, what is a podcast-based lesson script or a PBL script? It is a written guide for a supplementary audio lesson to be delivered based on a learning material like class, SLM, and of course, etc. So supplementary audio lesson lang siya. Meaning to say, it's just a supplemental. Not necessarily na dito na madepende ang mga bata. Still, we have to provide them the last, the SLM, and other learners' material. Okay, so what are the 3 considerations of a PBL script? So we have to consider these 3 things. First, our content knowledge of the subject matter, or our knowledge of the subject matter. That is why you have what you call this? Or you're given the leeway to choose your topic because you of course know or you have already mastered your subject na or the lessons which you are teaching. So naman talaga ang makaaram kung ang daan para sa mga bata. Dili kayo masabi ang team manager saying, amin ang lesson. Kaya formal language or this our mastery of the language. And also, ang Division of Masbate Province, nakagather na sila mga TV-based instruction. TV-based instruction. Then, TV-based, amo na napagad. Actually, ang Bicol, amo sila ang hapot award sa DepEd. Then, wala sa iba ng mga regions. Okay, so this is an example of a radio-based instruction script. Kaya sa amin siya ang pinakauna na part. So, you have the title. So, radio-based instruction script. So, that will of course run that will run for 45 minutes. 45 minutes, halaba siya masyado. Kaya dapat, after the first part, sa amin pinaka-main script. Ini siya tawag sa direction ini siya, PGCHS RBI, Insert Program Station ID. Minito sa ibasing program station ID siya, na kuno, kakampi, kabalitaan, na pagkakatiwalaan. Bansa na siya. Tapos ano na station ID siya. Then, may intro RBI music up for 3 seconds and fade under. Radio host, masabi radio host saying, a wonderful morning, great students of Pulangi. Again, this is your radio-based instruction, Radio Eskwela with 107.9 LG Radio Pulangi and Internet TV. Your radio that offers you meaningful learning experience. Today, we hope to give you additional knowledge in English 10, and we hope that you will be motivated to take part in our activities, prepared only for you. I am very excited and happy to be your guide today. This is your teacher host, Amor, from Pulangi General Comprehensive High School. I am very optimistic that you will all be interested to learn more in our English 10 RBI Radio Eskwela session. Because after tasting our music up for 3 seconds and under. So sa main... Okay, so this is a sample TV-based instruction script. A TV-based instruction script is divided into 2 columns. First column, the audio. Second column, video. So sa first column, ang email ni mga sasabihon as the anchor or host. Ano? Sa video, ang email siya gusto na makita sa video. So first, station ID. So may station ID anay. Masunod, back mo sa classroom. Actually, may mga nag-download baga sa internet ng mga background. The instruction provided with the learning resource material. Content is more important than the delivery. This is the backbone of your PBL. Again, take note. The content is more important than the delivery. Mas kising ano katawan mo process, kung di mo ang content sa imo lesson, wala mong giyapon sin, sari-sari. Okay, next. It must be simple. Again, we have to keep our scripts short, simple, and smart. Simplicity in the use of words and not high-sounding terms or jargon should be reflected in the composition of script. So use simple words. It must be organized. The arrangement of thoughts should be well considered. Do away from starting with a complex idea. Try to start from what the student... It must also be flexible. The script has no uniform format. So again, there is no uniform format for a script that needs to be strictly followed. It must be conversational, as if you are talking to your learners, you know, in a face-to-face manner. The content should not be too formal. Make use of ordinary but catchy expressions to be able to relate to the learners. In other words, use words which the learners may find meaning with, or use meaningful words, or words which are relatable. Okay, next. Experience-based, sabi na, relatable. Examples provided come from the personal experiences of the learners in their respective locality or place. So again, we have to localize or contextualize every lesson that we give to our learners. In other words, if the learners wouldn't be able to relate, their own experiences with the activities which you have in your learner's material, in your lesson, then you have to contextualize or localize them. Then again, you have to what? Assure the quality of your script. The script, coupled with an exemplary articulation or delivery, ensures quality learning. It has passed through quality assurance. So before the PBL lesson, of the PBL or podcast-based lessons will be distributed to the learners, it must be quality assured first. Cohesive. The contents, including the add-ons of the writer, should link the parts. And learner-centered. The point of view of a teacher talking to a student should be observed. Its inclusivity and sense of connection make the students feel as if he or she is with the teacher. So meaning, as if you're what? You are having a conversation with your students in a face-to-face manner. Bagang present pa lang gihapon sinda mismo. Pwede nga na siguro magsabi kasi, are you listening, Jenny Lou? Diba, pero yung mabati lang hindi na siya. Pero, that will of course what consume most of the time that will consume the time of your delivery or the number of minutes sa nimo delivery. Ano? So what are the 5 steps in PBL script writing? You have to read first the general content of the last or SLM where the script will be based on. First, go over your learner's material or the learner's material. Then write or compose a script with general divisions like the general intro, lesson intro, abstraction, etc. to serve as your guide only, but this is optional. Okay, next. In writing, keep in mind that the content should be written the way it's simply heard but seen. Again, in writing, keep in mind that the content should be written the way it is simply heard, not seen. Script receives the biggest percentage of importance than delivery. So again, the content must be or must of course receive the biggest percentage of importance than the delivery. After writing your script, reread the entire flow and do necessary editing to observe clarity and simplicity. Try to read and deliver your script loudly to find out if there are still points for improvement. Reading it loudly and more relaxed will generate possible improvement in the script, if there are any. Then tips in writing effective PBL scripts. Maintain a pleasant tone. Friendly personality in composition of script. Be a teacher who will sound eager to teach. So be a teacher. Avoid using words that are homophonous, especially if they are used side by side. Or words na parehas tunog. You are a storyteller of the content knowledge. Write the way you would want your learners enjoy you. You may add markers in your script so it is easier for you to deliver it. Your knowledge of the previous and next lessons will enrich the flow of your script. In writing your script, provide a slot that may indicate the name of the podcast teacher, competency, last number, date of delivery, etc. for each arrangement. Order include page numbers. Always keep your PBL scripts in one file, so they may come handy once needed for additional or revisions. Do not ask too much content questions in the podcast. Do not ask too much content questions in the podcast. Ano? Dili na magpahuwa kaya na 10 minutes na, 10 to 15 minutes lang ina siya. Kailangan na ubos ang oras natin sa parahuwa sa mga questions. Tapos di man kita maka-generate sin answer sa inda. Ano? Kailan di man kita present sa kada usad. O di man present na kada sa aton. Double read or even more the script. Our eyes sometimes fail us and it does pay to reread. You may request someone to check it for you. Minsan ba pagkita na ito sa ato na himo, okay na. Ito gayan may mga mali pa. That is why, nagkagubagay sa mga check-in sa ating mga forms kay Nano, para makita sa iba natin naka-oropon na may mali sa aton mga records or forms. Number 8, include your personal taglines in the intro and or extra of the script. So even if you are just heard, they get to see how cool, interesting you are as a teacher. You still have to what? You still have to, your personality as a teacher must still reflect in your podcast-based lesson. You know? Still, your characteristic as a teacher must reflect in your podcast-based lesson. Hulaan mo ko. Saan ini siya, Ano ini? Still, saan na siya? Mahula. Okay, so, sabi din yan, the pen is a commitment that should never run out of ink. The point is your heart that scribbles on the paper we profoundly call service. So, take note of these two, commitment and service. So, sa mga teachers, kami ni permanentean, kinahanglan sa aton, commitment sa aton, serbisyo. Kaya ako ba natin sinumpaan. So kita permanent nagsunod sa akin sabi sa mga sa instruction sa DepEd, pero we don't want to.
Indeed, grade 10 learner. Welcome to a brand new chapter of learning. As we turn every page of learning, I will be your guide facilitator for our topics in English 10 through this podcast-based lesson brought to you by SBO Legal City. I am your teacher podcaster, Sir Brian. Listen attentively to this supplementary material from your English 10 Learning Activity Sheet number 2 for quarter 1. Alright, I believe you are ready and excited as much as I do. So, let's get the ball rolling. Are you fond of reading stories? Stories that do not only entertain us, but encourage us to reflect on the lessons that the authors want to share. Furthermore, reading stories develop our reading skills. One of these skills is organizing ideas that are expressed in the story. As a reader, you must take note of the important story elements for you to better comprehend what you read. Oftentimes, you need to arrange, cluster, and present the ideas in the story in creative ways and use several tools that can visually represent your thoughts. As a student like you must be familiar with the different elements that make up a story. For this lesson, you are expected to use textual aids in organizing ideas expressed in the reading material. This time, let us review the elements. First is the setting. Setting is the time and place in which the events of the story occurred, like weather, social, cultural conditions, and atmosphere. Usually, it is indicated at the exposition or beginning part of the story. Second is the character. Character pertains to person or animal that takes part in the story or in the action of the story. Third is the plot. Plot is the series of events in the story. The fourth element is what we call as conflict. Conflict is the problem or the opposite point of view. This is the angle from which the story is told. First person uses I, second person uses you, and the third person uses he, she, or it. The last element is what we call as theme. Theme is the controlling idea or central argument the author is trying to convey. Here are the 5 stages of plot. The first stage is what we call as introduction or exposition. This is the beginning of the story where the characters and the setting are revealed. Second stage is the rising action. This is where the events in the story become complicated and the conflict in the story is revealed. Third is climax. Climax is the highest point of interest and the turning point of the story. Fourth is the falling action. It refers to the events and complications that begin to resolve themselves. And the last but not the least stage of a plot is the denouement or the resolution. This is the final outcome or untangling of events in the story. So I hope you got all of these elements. By the way, we are just reviewing because we have met these words even before when we were still in elementary. Now, given so many details, is it easy to recall them or there is a better way to present the information? If you believe that this may be possible through a graphic organizer, then you are absolutely correct. But what is a graphic organizer? A graphic organizer is a visual and graphic display that depicts the relationships between facts, terms, and/or ideas within a learning task. Graphic organizers are also sometimes referred to as knowledge maps, concept maps, story maps, cognitive organizers, advanced organizers, or concept diagrams. Graphic organizers come in many different forms, each one best suited for organizing a particular type of information. The following examples are merely a sampling of the different types and uses of graphic organizers. So let's find out. The first type or example of graphic organizer is a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is a graphic organizer that has two unlocking or interlocking circles. This type of organizer is used to identify differences and similarities. Students write details about how the topics are different in the other parts of the circles and how they are the same in the shared inner space of circles. Venn diagrams can be used to compare and contrast two characters. For example, students would write how each character is different in the outer spaces and how they are the same in the overlapping space in the middle. You can use this graphic organizer to help you write an essay about each character, and that's great. That is one effective technique. Second is concept map. A concept map is a graphic organizer that looks like a web with arrows connecting each circle. This type of map helps students identify a main concept as well as sub-concepts. It can be used to help visually organize the thoughts as well as illustrate hierarchical information. There are a variety of ways this type of organizer can be used in the classroom. You can show relationships between specific concepts, characters in a story, or even vocabulary words. Many teachers like to use it to assess your prior knowledge on a certain topic. The next type is what we know as the T-chart. A T-chart is a graphic organizer that is used to
senior high school that aims to develop your critical thinking and problem-solving skills. It is a fusion of experience and knowledge. Research is all around us. Research is powered by curiosity and brought to life by everyone's desire to excellence. So, fuel that desire. Put on your thinking cap, activate your critical listening skill, and unleash the research in you as you join me here on the PR Podcast. Before we start our podcast lesson, let me give some brief reminders so that you will have a conducive learning experience with me here on the PR Podcast. First, it is suggested that you have note-taking materials with you so that you can write the important points in the lesson. Put your learning activity sheets aside first. I need your full attention throughout the duration of this learning session. You can answer them once we are finished, so you can fully focus during your dedicated study time. Practical research entails good planning. In this episode, you will learn the different qualitative research designs that you can use for your research study. After listening to this podcast-based lesson and working on your learning activity sheet, you should be able to decide the most appropriate qualitative research design. Let us get to know the 5 major research designs. The ethnographic approach study analysis a group of people to understand their culture better. Originally, the idea of a culture was tied to the notion of ethnicity and geographic location. For example, Filipino and Bicolano culture, but it has been broadened to include virtually any group of organization. That means we can study the culture of a business, organization, or a defined group. For example, the school culture or the culture of millennials like you. The informants are the key persons who provide information for the study.
Ano yung baod nyo lang? Any romancing, video yun siya.
Practical research is one of the subjects in senior high school that aims to develop your critical thinking and problem-solving skills. It is a fusion of experience and knowledge. Research is all around us. Research is powered by curiosity and brought to life by everyone's desire to excellence. So, fuel that desire. Put on your thinking cap, activate your critical listening skill, and unleash the researcher in you as you join me here on the PR Podcast. Before we start our podcast lesson, let me give some brief reminders so that you will have a conducive learning experience with me here in the PR Podcast. First, it is suggested that you have no PT materials with you so that you can write some important points in the lesson. Put your learning activity sheets aside first.
So first, podcast script, tapos na grade. So nalagay na yung ginagawan. For example, ako, grade 11, tapos grade 12. So nabaka na ako na oral com, patang ko nila, grade, podcast script, grade 11. Then sa baba, butang ko sa Nasinto National High School, senior high school. Then, school year 2021-2022. Then my name, Amor Sivillamor. Dinano siya na lesson, na quarter. So quarter 2, second sem na kita ba gano? So second sem, quarter 3, module 1, lesson 1, halimbawa. Then, nanang title sa saan sa module. Halimbawa, nangyari na ng lesson that day, title sa yung lesson nila. So, amin na siya. Then, first part, intro, gel intro. So, bahala ka po sa iyo intro. Pero tawag sa natin station ID, ang program ID natin, halos usad lang. Kaya para iwasin, tawag sa iwasin identity. Para makilala na, ay, pag nabati na siya, masan, ay, sa Nasinto National High School, senior high school ina. Kasi ini siya, bahala ka mag-isip sa iyo na intro. Ano saan po namin siya? Hello everyone! How are you doing? Here I am again, Teacher JM, your teacher podcaster in grade 9. Are you ready for another podcast lesson? Good! Before we start, get yourself learning modules, as well as your notebook and pen. Set aside your phones and other unnecessary things so that you can focus while learning. So, ini siya general intro. And next, ano nga rin lesson and intro. According to Jen Ford, you can speak well if your tongue can deliver the message of your heart. True enough. Speaking is a natural way to assert your position of having the authority on the topic you're presenting. More often, you tend to think that delivering a statement before an audience is good where the speaker could present their piece confidently. However, there are underlying qualities that need to be essentially considered. This lesson will provide you a deep understanding of speech prose that intends to maximize your perception and life values. Through making meanings of the material used in this topic, you will be able to grasp valuable information which will guide your path as you take the journey of life in this world full of complexities and uncertainties. Tapos next, na naman ini, lesson abstraction na. For our episode today, you're expected to analyze literature as a means of understanding and changing values in the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. You should likewise be able to identify the tone, mood, and purpose of the speaker with which the ideas are contained. So, pagkatapos na, diretso na rin. Imbulan lang, actually ini siya, pakali sa baba, ang presentation sa niya ini, lesson. Ano? Then, ginadidian, iba pa sin, are you done with the activity? Eh, siya, content question. Content question siya. Good job! Di magsabi sin, magunga sin, maya ko no, mga information questions, not questions na yes, yes, or, no, pero hindi ba ka sa ano, pwede man sin, are you done with activity? Of course, ini siya, pwede man siya na ihunga. Pero minsan, halimbawa kanya ko lumabot ang pre-test, mabutang kasi pre-test. Mga question kasi, kanya ko no, communication is the process of sending and receiving messages. Masabi kasi, in this activity, you will only answer true or false. If the statement is correct, answer true. If the statement is false, you answer false. Number 1. Communication is the process of sending and receiving messages in order to share meaning. Di ka pwede magsabihin, did you answer true? Di ka pwede magsabihin na, pwede ka magsabihin lang 6.5. Okay, if your answer is 5.5, you are correct. If your answer, sabihin mo ng answer, tapos sumabi ka lang sin, you are correct. Di ka masabihin, did you answer true? Hindi mo makasagang bata. So, i-diretso mo ang answer mo na lang. Tirog ka na. Ano? So, ano siya atin? Igwasin. Ano yan nilang extra? May extra ini. Actually, sa lesson plan, walang sunod doon. Presentation sa lesson. Presentation, activity. Tapos, mastery. And then, tawag siya na. Generalization. Then, on evaluation. Kagkuha ko ng assignment. So, ano pa sa lesson proper na? Ano sa lesson proper? So, again, presentation, may motivation, anay. Motivation.